hinder you. Don't you let where you've been hinder you. Don't let what they've said hinder you. Don't you let your past hinder you. You're a woman without limits. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. A woman without limits. Yes, you are. There's nothing the enemy can do to stop what God has for you. There's nothing the enemy can do to stop what God has for you. You're a woman without limits. Woman, 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 woman without limits. Na 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 na. Woman without limits. Woman.
Good evening, viewers. You're welcome to Woman Without Limits. I'm Reverend Kiuna, and I'm delighted that you could tune in today. I believe that Woman Without Limits has been a blessing to you. Thank you for all the feedback. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Now, I'm so excited. I've always been excited about Woman Without Limits because of the impact that it's making and the difference in people's lives. I want you to understand that you are not who they called you. You're not who anybody says you are. If it's not God, then you're not anybody's opinion. You need to know that you are God's opinion, and He says you are fearfully and wonderfully made. I want you to remember, as you watch any story on Woman Without Limits, it can be your story too. One day, you will be the one sitting here and will be listening to you. So please just know that nothing should stop you. Would you please help me welcome Doreen on set? Hey. Hi, Doreen. How are you? Yeah, nice to see you. So, Doreen, here you are.
Yes.
Very beautiful. You have such nice skin. Amazing.
Thank you.
You're what they call dark and lovely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Beautiful. So it's wonderful to see you and to have you on set today.
Thank you.
I know you have an amazing story.
Yes.
And I want us to just reverse and start from where you're coming from.
Yes.
Who is Doreen? Would you please, let us know?
I'm Doreen Katha Sissoko. I'm born again, and I love God, and Jesus is my personal savior. And I've walked a life which has been quite interesting. I'm a mother of 6 beautiful children.
Wow, 6, eh?
6 beautiful
Amen.
children. and a wife to one very amazing man.
Okay.
And I'm also an entrepreneur. I'm the creative director of Linens and Decor, which is a company which is an event design company. And we are the ones who came up with a product called the Party Pergola, which is a pergolax, which is a wooden movable tent, basically.
Okay.
Yes.
So now, before all that, now let's reverse. We are back. You've just been born.
Yes. Oh, so I've been born in Meru.
Okay.
I was born in Meru.
Yeah.
To two very wonderful parents, God-fearing. My dad was a preacher back then, and my mom,
a preacher.
yeah, a preacher and a teacher. TSC. He worked for the TSC for very many years.
Okay.
Before he retired.
Yeah.
And tried his hand at the stock exchange for 1 year. Then found himself back to start a school. And for me, that was, I think, when my entrepreneurial spirit started, because
From the time you were little?
yeah, that was, I think, what, because it was very prominent to me how my dad just quit everything to come back and start a school with because of his passion. It's something I heard him talking about. He talked about it for so many years, and I kept wondering, why does he keep talking about this and he doesn't do it? Until one day he came home and he said, you know what, I'm starting that school.
I'm not going back to work.
I'm not going back to work. I'm done. And I saw them struggling, I saw them struggling, starting small, financial. They were struggling, even just to put food on the table, to have us go to school. And then this school, he started a small, tiny school with, I think, 6 students. And my mom, standing by him all this while.
Yeah.
And I saw him growing into really, now he's one of the successful schools in Meru. Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, Meru Salem Academy.
Yeah.
So I'm really proud of him. Like, he taught us perseverance and hard work and following your passion, basically.
And how to start from scratch.
And how to start from scratch. They taught, I've been brought up by parents who taught us the value of hard work, that you work and God will bless the work of your hands.
Right.
There are no other two ways to it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here you are now, you grew up.
Yes.
You know, you were fine in school.
Yeah, I
You-
went
you
to
are-
I went to a primary school called Consolata, still in Meru. Actually, all my life I was in Meru. I only came to Nairobi after high school, Form 4.
But a lot of Marians have a very serious accent. I'm not hearing it.
No, Consolata was the one was an uptown
Okay.
school. You know, we were taught by nuns, the Italian nuns.
Oh.
So yeah, so I think a lot of us and didn't get the accent a lot because of that.
You didn't.
We didn't, yes, we didn't get the accent because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Okay.
but it was a very good school, you know, values, and it was a Christian school.
Right.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I learned a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then-
So did you keep those values like as you grew up?
As I grew up, I think I lost them along the way.
Okay.
Because after primary school, I went to high school. And in high school, I was in Kaga Girls, still in Meru. And there I was actually the deputy head. Then I became the head girl. It was not an easy task, but that also was my other introduction to leadership.
Wow.
You know, and the loneliness of leadership.
Yeah.
But I went through it and came out strong. Yeah. And after that, that's when now I came to Nairobi to proceed with the university. And that's now when hell broke loose. You know, I was now away from mom and dad. You know, you see, I was brought up in a very protected. We were all, you know, we were very protected. Our socializations. We were not exposed much to the world, which is the right way. But when I came now to Nairobi and I was away, I think I got into the wrong company, because I think within a span of 3 months I had backslid, seriously. I was drinking, I was smoking. You ask me how.
Everything you
I
didn't
still
do.
I don't know. Everything I didn't do. Everything I didn't do. I was clubbing, I was, you know.
From now high school.
No,
You were or
this
when
now
you
is
cleared high
yes,
school.
Now this is after high school. I've left my amazing mother's care, and
Yeah.
now I'm, you know, I'm here.
And the world is showing you what
and the world now is showing
you've
me,
been missing.
Yes,
quote
like
unquote.
this is what is fun.
Yeah.
What you are being shown is nothing. This
Right.
is fun. So needless to say, of course, I got into it's a lifestyle.
Right.
I got into a very fun-loving type of lifestyle, and of course, I'm a pretty girl, so
Absolutely.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I had plenty of friends, and we had, you know, a lot of fun clubbing. I mean, carnival. I knew all the Wednesdays rock nights, you know, tank tops and hot pants on stage. That was me. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
That
Kani.
was me, Kani.
Just got paid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Eh?
And I
Can you remember?
totally forgot my Christian values, you
Yeah,
know. I
yeah.
kind of pushed them on the side, because in high school I was even preaching, you know, born again, spirit filled, you know,
And preaching.
and preaching in CU
Yeah.
in front of the girls, and
Yeah.
people, you know, getting born again you
Because
know.
of your influence.
Yes, because of my
Yeah.
influence,
Right.
you know. So
And now you're the one in hot pants
Imagine.
with the tank tops clubbing.
imagine,
Yeah.
you know, up to today I'm like, okay, that was quite a flip, you know, it was a serious flip.
Yeah.
But somehow God got me back. Yeah.
So tell us, you struggled also with a low self-esteem.
Yes, I did.
Uh-huh.
I did.
At
and
that time?
No, it wasn't at that time. So I got pregnant in the process. Like that was in 2005. You know. So 2004. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then the man that, of course, I got pregnant with, who was my boyfriend at the time, proposed to me, you know, that we get married. And at that time, like, I can honestly tell you that was not my plan. I don't think I was ready, and I wasn't even praying for marriage, you know.
You were too
So
young.
yes, I was too young.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, our parents would not want to have children out of wedlock, you know. And that makes a lot of sense. But then now, in hindsight, had I known and was I ready, maybe I would have said, okay, let me take a pause. I've made a mistake, let me take a pause. But then I found myself in marriage just at the age of 24. Phew, just like that. Like, it's not like a slide. Phew, you know,
Yeah.
like I just found myself in marriage, and very young,
Yeah.
and just straight from the club, you know.
You just got pregnant and
Exactly.
said, let's do this.
Yeah. So
Wow.
that's the time now life started taking a turn.
Real life started happening.
Now, yeah, exactly.
Right.
Now real life started, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Real life started happening.
Right.
Of course, I wanted for my marriage to work and to be able to take care of my baby and, you know, to be there and to have a proper home. But I wasn't equipped, you know. You've heard my story. How am I equipped? I'm not equipped. I've just ended up here.
Yeah.
So I tried, but then I found that the marriage itself was not on a very good foundation, because my ex-husband at the time was not faithful to me, and myself also, I was not like, you know, I was still drinking, I was still smoking, not when I was pregnant. Yeah.
Okay.
When I was pregnant, I paused.
Yeah.
But someone
You
after,
waited 9 months.
I waited 9 months, then another 3 months, then poof, back again.
Back.
You know?
Yeah.
But the infidelity is what now started killing my self-esteem. Then, of course, with the weight gain after birth and all that, you walk into a shop. First time I walked, I had never been that size in my life. So I walk into a shop and I'm looking at my size 12 dresses, and the attendant tells me, not that one. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Like, it can't fit you. I'm like, really? Like, then she takes me now to the mama, you know, the bigger. I'm like, you know, that's my mentality. I'm like, no, those
To the mama's corner.
yeah, the mama's corner. I'm like,
You
no.
want to tell her, I'm
I want my
24,
tank tops
hello.
and
Yeah.
I want to, you know. But
Yeah.
then, so I had to now start dealing with those changes. There was the physical changes, there was the emotional changes, then also the marriages.
And then the abuse
And
now,
then
the emotional
there's
abuse.
The emotional abuse.
Yeah.
And it really started eating me, you know, eating me to the extent that, because I was in that marriage for 6 years, I think by the 4th or 5th year, I can't remember exactly when, I was hospitalized for depression. And that's now when the doctor told me, because of course he figured out, like, it's either if this marriage doesn't work, you'll need to really, you need to jipanga, you know. And that's the first time I was dealt with, you know, it's either it works or it doesn't, because it's now it's about you, it's about your well-being.
So you got totally sick and depressed.
Totally sick, and in fact what happened is
Yeah.
one day I was in bed, and it's something that happened for long. Staying in bed the whole day till evening. You wake up, you drag yourself around, you know, because I was working from home then, so I was flexible. So one day I tried to get out of bed, literally tried to remove my leg down, and I was unable. I tried. I couldn't understand. Then I said, okay, I've tried to get out of bed, I'm unable. Why? I can't remember exactly what had happened. Maybe it was after another spasm of cheating, or, you know, because there's always that consistency.
He always had women.
Yes, there's cheating, forgive, we move on. I forgive completely, and I'm sure this time it will work out.
He'll
and
never
he's
even
changed.
do it.
He'll never do it again, then it happens again. So I think this time it was a bit too much for me, and I was unable to get up. So what I did, I took my computer and Googled can't get out of bed. And I was shocked, literally. The answer was depression. I'm like, depression, me? How can I be depressed, you know? So then I read and I'm like, you know what? I still can't get out of bed. So you need to help yourself, because he left you in bed. He's seen you in bed. He comes back, he meets you in bed. So it's not like he's going to help you.
And he's not even asking.
Yeah.
You've been in bed all day, nothing.
Yeah. But I don't even think he knew, you know, that that was it. Because even him, when I got hospitalized, he was also surprised, like, okay, this is depression. So I Googled shrinks in Nairobi.
Shrinks.
Because I knew depression is shrinks. You know, we
Yeah.
used to call them shrinks. You
Yeah.
know? So like shrinks in Nairobi. Then it comes, doctor. I picked one. I called him. I said, I can't get out of bed. Told me, come tomorrow. He gave me an appointment. And the following day, I actually went. I don't even know what made me get, but I actually got up and I went to the appointment. And that's now how I was able to be healed.
So they took you through depression stages and all, and healing.
He of course asked me the necessary questions. That's when I started. I think that's the first time I started talking to someone about what has really been going on.
Okay.
Because I used to believe that you don't air your dirty laundry, you know, like
in public.
Yeah, in public. Plus you pray, and of course you're told a woman is one who will break the home, and you know, so you have that shame, like it's your fault. So for me, and then there's that low self-esteem, like what will people think if I start telling them about what's really going on. And when people look at you, they think
like something is wrong with you.
They think, oh, these people are doing so well. They're even building a house. You know, the business is doing well. You know, nothing can be wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
So the business was working.
Yeah, the business was
but the
doing very
marriage
well.
was terrible.
Yes, the marriage was terrible. The marriage was. In fact, I had put all my energy into the business, right? And even I can't say I was a good mother back then, because I wasn't in a mental state to be a good mother to my children. You know.
You had, how many did you have at that time?
At that time, I had 2 girls.
Right.
Yeah. I had 2 girls whom instead of being there for them, I was, I had to, like, I mean, if it's Friday, there's work, then after work I go drink, then of course Sunday I'm hangovered, you know. So how are you being a mother? You get my point. So it was really, those are some of the regrets I have in terms, and those are some of the reasons why I decided, you know what, it's either I get out and be a better mother to my children, at least for my children. You know, I have to live for my children.
So it's like you were in the same house, but both of you are living your own lives.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you went out clubbing or whatever, he didn't care? No,
he didn't care. And that's, I used to find it very weird, because I would go out with my friends, with their husbands, and their husbands were very protective over them. Yeah. But me, I was allowed to go wherever and with whomever I wanted. I guess because I wanted to go with him. Every time I tell him, oh, let's go together, he always had an excuse. No, I'm going to meet the boys. And you know, one time I'm dropping him to meet the boys, and someone calls, and I can clearly hear it's a girl. And I'm like, the boys don't sound like a girl. Yeah. But those are, I think, and I'm sure women experience that. It's not just me, because I've also had quite a number of friends who've gone through the same thing. But one thing I've come to realize is that I should have put myself first, you know. I should have put myself first, and not even myself really, it was God. If I had put God first in that marriage, if I had put myself, if I had put God first, we had put God first, I'm sure even today we would be together, because you know God is the one who preserves. Who preserves. Right. Yeah, so there was no God. I can tell you that for sure.
I recently wrote my latest book, Let Me Go, Breaking the Shackles of Insecurity. If there is anything that's plaguing lives today, it is insecurity. It has robbed people of destinies. It has robbed people of their marriages, relationships, because you cannot relate if you are an insecure person. People lose their jobs because of insecurity, lose their families, lose their businesses because of insecurity, and it has plagued many. If you get up to the level of leadership and you're insecure, that's a taboo. Woe unto the people that you're leading, because they're going to fall into serious traps just because of the spirit of insecurity. I believe with all of my heart that this is a book that everybody needs to get a hold of, because it's going to help you know how to be single and okay, how to be married and okay, how to relate with your boss and okay, how to do life and be okay. Because I tell you the truth, if you are not okay and if you're insecure, everything around you will be falling apart. And there are so many people that are asking themselves, why do I miss it? Why do my relationships always fail? Why do I always miss the mark? What am I going to do? Let me tell you, insecurity is a demonic agenda. And if you read this book, you realize it plagued many even in the Word of God. You go to somebody like Saul, he was so full of insecurity. You go to somebody like Gideon, he was so insecure. You go to many people in the Bible that were absolutely insecure, and you see yourself in it. And let me tell you, as a woman, if you're insecure, your relationships are not going to work. They are just going to be one hustle after another, and you'll think something is wrong with you. But there's nothing wrong with you. You just need to deal with insecurity. As a man, you're going to be missing the mark all the time, losing on business all the time. Why? Because of insecurity. Get to know how to get rid of insecurity forever. Get a hold of this book. And you said that the marriage was also, now it became physical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It became physical because the more I questioned about these other women, the more it became, I'd get beaten. Yeah.
For asking.
For asking, yes.
And meanwhile, you have evidence.
Yeah.
It's obvious.
Yeah, it's obvious, you know. But then I'm beaten because I've asked, and of course, yeah, because I've asked, I'm beaten. Yeah. So
the self-esteem just was going this way.
Down, to the point where I would look at myself in the mirror, and what I would see was an ugly woman. I would never see a beautiful woman.
Wow.
Yeah, which was very. It's very interesting because all my life I've always been a beautiful woman.
Yeah, and
yeah,
you
but
are.
Suddenly,
but suddenly you're looking and thinking,
yeah,
maybe I'm not.
Exactly.
Maybe I'm cheating
And I didn't
myself.
even realize that was going on until after I'd left like a few months. And I don't know where, I can't remember where I was, but a guy genuinely looked at me like, you're very beautiful. And I was shocked. You know? I had, you know. I was
You
like,
almost asked him, how did you look?
Exactly, you know, like I was like, then because at that time now I started, once I started healing process and knowing and looking into myself, and I put my energy into getting better and dating myself and just getting to know myself again.
Right.
That's when I realized, whoa, it was much deeper than, you know, yeah.
But you were still there in that house?
No, I had left.
So
but this time when I'm feeling, you know, when someone is telling me you're beautiful, the marriage was already over.
Oh, it was already
over?
over?
Yeah, that was already over.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when did you, after how long did you divorce?
It took me, I think, 2 years.
So
2
how
years
long
to
were you in
file.
that marriage?
I was in for 6 years.
For 6 years?
Yeah, I was
So
in the marriage for 6 years.
Right.
We had gotten us our second girl, very beautiful girl. And it was, I was actually turning, I shouldn't say my age, should I?
No, you should.
But I was
You
turning 30.
Yeah.
It was the year I was turning 30 that I woke up, you know, and I was like, I asked myself, are you going to turn 60? And
Like this?
And like this.
So did you leave him alone and decide,
Yeah.
you know what, I'm just going to move on?
Yeah, I left him alone and said
So
to
what
move
you
on.
couldn't handle is, of course, the cheating and the abuse.
Yes, the cheating and the abuse.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
that I couldn't handle, and it was, the cheating continued, you know. It wasn't something that he was even hiding.
And not with one woman, but with a trail of them.
Well, over the years, there was different women. By the time I left him, there was one particular one that was, you know, that was evident, yeah. So it was really bad. It was really bad, some of the experiences that I experienced, especially around that time, because still part of me, you know, was hoping that
something will work
yeah,
out.
that the marriage can work out, especially because of the kids. I wasn't imagining how the children, these girls can grow up without their dad, you know, with just a mother on their own.
Right.
Yeah, so but in the process I came to realize that he wasn't willing to change, because even our matrimonial home, where I walked away from, he brought in that other woman, you know. And I actually, you know, saw it for myself, you know, something like I was told.
You found her there?
Well, yeah, I don't want to go to the details because they are really explicit. But yes, I had that experience.
Did you behave like...
I almost killed myself. That's how bad it was.
For her?
No, myself. myself. Yeah, I got into the car and I drove. And as I was driving, crying, I was really devastated.
Yeah.
Like really devastated. And I called my mom, thank God. And I was crying and I'm talking to her. And she told me, she calmed me down. She was with me on the phone until I stopped the car. Yeah.
Right.
But that's the day that I decided, you know what?
Enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you can even go to the extent of bringing the
into our matrimonial home, our matrimonial bed.
Yeah.
You know, that was now what I never thought. I mean, that someone could go to that extent. Yeah. But the reality of the matter is there are even worse things that happen to other people, you know, because I think it's who we fear. If we don't fear God, we are capable of anything. Yeah. So here I am, confused, don't know what to do. My mom is my mother is just amazing. She came and she stayed with me, you know. She stayed with me. It was like for her it was back to the 80s, you know. She was sleeping with me in the same bed. You know, at night I'd wake up crying. She wake up with me, you know. Imagine it's like taking care of a baby. My mom, at my age, she's out there, you know, like I'm a baby again, you know. But she stayed with me until I stabilized emotionally. That's when she went back to Mary.
Because all you were doing is crying.
All I was doing is crying. All I was doing is crying. Yeah.
Were you drinking then?
Yes,
You were
I
still
was.
drinking?
Yes, and I don't even think she knew, because I would leave and say, I've gone to work, wapi.
Yeah.
I've gone to drink,
Yeah.
you know, to smoke, and really it's, but I'm glad eventually everything came out in the open.
Right.
So that we were able now to start praying about some of these things with my parents, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how long did it take you before now you got back to the Lord and you gave your life to Jesus?
It took me, it was about, since leaving him, for about 3 months is when I went through that phase of still, but then it didn't make sense, you know, that clubbing. Because you see, one of the things that I would want also women to always know, anyone who goes through divorce or separation, the first thing is that you become very vulnerable, and especially if it's you want another man to come and tell you how beautiful you are. You also want to prove to this man that you're beautiful.
That you think
you know.
You lost something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then, luckily, because of the values I also had, I was able to decipher, as in, like, you go clubbing, the men will be very interested, you know. But then when push comes to shove, you realize this person is not interested in you. They're interested in something else.
Something you carry.
Yeah. So the first decision I made was to abstain.
Yeah.
You know, I said, you know what, Doreen, you need to abstain. Yes, you're old, you have children. It doesn't make sense that you're going to start abstaining. You know how people think.
Yeah.
But you know, for me, that's what made sense. I was like, you know what, abstain. If you're going to be dating, abstain. If it's someone who wants, if you meet a man and he wants to marry you, he will wait until, you know, until he marries you.
Right.
Remember, this is someone who just left a marriage, thinking like that, you know. So, but that also was a big step to my recovery, because what it did, of course, it closed a lot of doors. So any guy who was trying to get to me at that time ran away, because you come, you're like, yeah, you don't waste time. A man who is not interested in you won't waste your his time there. So I found myself in a position where I was like, okay, so no dating. If that's all men are looking at me at, and then I did reading and I studied and I realized that vulnerability shows. You know, men can smell it 10 miles away.
By the way, they say, men tell me that they smell insecurity and vulnerability from a mile.
From a mile away.
They know, and desperation.
Exactly.
They smell desperation.
Yeah.
They know the person who will just agree to everything.
Exactly.
Right.
So the next decision was to stop dating and start dating myself.
Right.
And that's how I stopped the clubbing. So now I went back to my house, bought myself a little dog called Stacy.
Wow.
Yeah, for the evenings we just stay with my Stacy, because the girls would sleep early, you know.
Yeah.
So then I take my wine, and if I need to smoke, I'll smoke, and, you know, watch my movies and whatever I need to do to spend my evenings, you know, in-house.
Yeah.
So that need for the going out, I stopped. But then again, like I'm telling you, parents, we are so important to our children. My parents again stepped in. They came and they bought me a Christian dish and told me, just start watching this in the evenings. Instead of these movies you're always watching, just watch this, you know, just watch some sermons. They did the whole installation. And for sure I watched, because I'm sure they were praying, you know, they were praying. So the answers were answered. And as I'm watching, I'm like, wow, people have problems, not just me, you know. And that's now when my days when I was born again started coming back. And I realized, hala, this Maisha, it is the devil who has been taking the toll on my life like there's no tomorrow. Ignorance is the reason why I'm perishing, you know. And but at this time, I am so addicted to the cigarettes and to the wine, you know, to the drinking. I didn't know how to break free. So I told God, you know what, God, you have to deliver me. This one I've tried. I'm trying to put, I say I've quit. 3 hours later, I'm back. You know, I was actually doing, 3 hours, you know, like seriously. So half a pack a day. That's how bad it was, you know. So at least we got, my parents said, you know what, you need deliverance. I told her, yeah, because I've tried, you know, but this time I was open with them now, like, this is who I am, At the moment, this is what I'm struggling with. Right. Yeah. So we prayed with them, and one of the things they said is that, okay, let's go, because it was that time for, there was a lot of this deliverance. You go to Nigeria for deliverance and all that. So they told me, see, then let's go to Nigeria. Like in my head, I'm like, it has idea, you know, like, you know, but I'm like, I'm desperate. Now I'm really desperate for,
Yeah.
you know,
For
for change.
Yeah.
So I told them, fine, let's go. So that morning we were to take the flight. The girls were away. And I remember that the night before, not even the morning, I bought my bottle and my cigarettes. I smoked, I drank, then I went to sleep. In the morning, since I'm thinking, if these things, I won't touch them. I'll be with the folks. So I won't touch these things. So I tried to smoke. I couldn't. I just took 2 puffs. I threw it away. I tried the wine. It was terrible. I threw it away. I didn't realize at that time I was delivered. It was a week later that I realized the deliverance happened that night. How? I don't know. You see? So me, I just know God worked.
Wow.
Yeah. This
Wow.
God worked, you know? So I got on the plane again. At the plane, I didn't sit with my parents. They offered me wine. I said no. Why? I don't know. That was not me, you know? So we got there. We stayed for a week. And in that week, I spent a lot of time. My dad, who I told you he's really have a very strong relationship with God, I'd go with him to the sanctuary every day, because every day with him to pray. So he would sit there, I sit there with my Bible, and I pray, and I pray. And I started lying prostrate on the altar. I didn't even know. I was just seeing what people are doing, but I was so desperate for God. I lie down, I talk to him, and imagine that's when I started even hearing God. The first time I heard him speak, I was like, what? What? You know? And that's when, in that 1 week, because every day we would go with my dad to pray, and even with my mom, I got born again.
So now fast forward, you started this business.
Yes.
Let's talk about the business now.
So the business
Yeah.
was growing, right? I'd gotten this new product that the idea that God had given me, that was now in 2012, that I went to with my mom. We were house shopping. She had just retired from the bank after 26 years. And I saw this pergola, and immediately it just flashed. I saw that structure as a movable structure used for events. Because already we used to use tents, you know. But remember now I have split the business. I'm not doing tents anymore.
Yeah.
So this, suddenly, I'm like, oh, this is a very good idea. It gets into my head. And as the way God works, 2 weeks later, a client comes to see me. And they tell me, okay, I want something different. I mentioned all types of tents which were available at that time. And they didn't want anything. So I drew it. I told them, this is what I have in my head. She looked at it. She's like, I want it.
Wow.
Quote it. I had no idea what to quote. I don't know how much it will cost me to make. I don't know how much I should rent it for. But I just sat down and just used my knowledge in the business. Also called to find out how much timber would be, how much this would be. But I hadn't gotten the structure, you know. So I did a quote. Sent to her, she accepted, she paid. Then that's when I went to the fundi. I went to the fundi, I told him this is what I want to make. The guy asked me, Sasa wewe, how will this thing stand? I told him, I don't know. Just you first do the structure the way it is, standing, the 4 poles and the ones going up on top, the way because I drew for him what I exactly wanted. And then once you've done that, you call me so that we can do the rest. So he calls me, he says, the thing is standing, but it's 4 people who are wameshikilia. So I will go, I look, and immediately again, God gives me the answers to how to make it stand. I tell him, do this, 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 and that's how this thing will stand. He goes ahead and does it and tells me, hey, it's working. I'm like, okay, fine. And that's how the structure started. I did the first 2 back then. We set up for the event. It was amazing. It was in Safari Park. And then her relative booked us again. Like a month or 2 later, we added more. And then it just went increasing. But that time it wasn't waterproof. So when the rainy season came, that was now the new challenge. No one is hiring because the structure is not waterproof. So again, I had to go back to the drawing board and then make this structure waterproof. And in making it waterproof, I have to make it strong enough so that when it rains, the structure doesn't fall. So it's been years of, of changing, tweaking to get it to a point where we can say now we have a structure which is sound. Yeah.
Wow. What's the name of the structure again?
It's Pergolax.
Yeah.
Pergolax. It's a party pergola. You know, the normal pergolas are for homes and all. So we call it the party pergola.
Yeah.
And then for this design that we have out in the market already, we've called it the Pergolax, because we have another design which is coming up, which will also now give it its own name.
So the pergolas are tents
Yeah.
that they're wooden tents that are waterproof.
Yeah.
It doesn't rain
It
inside
doesn't,
when
yeah,
you...
Yeah, the pergolax doesn't rain. The normal pergolas don't even have canvases on top. The normal ones which are already existing they've been there for years. It's just the wood with the vines going around, or you put some they can put different. If they're permanent, it's easier to like put something, you know, permanent to stop the rain.
Yeah.
But for the movable one, now the challenge was how to make it waterproof. And then now we figured out how to make it waterproof so that we can dismantle it. We go, we set it up. It's a house. Then even though it rains, wind, we even have side covers for it. It's a full tent. It's a full tent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
She just showed
It's
me some
beautiful.
pictures. Very
Yeah.
beautiful. Like
It's
it's
actually-
totally different.
Yeah, it's actually, we have it now in 2 colors.
Yeah.
We have the brown wooden look, rustic look, and we have the white.
Tell us now where you are and what happened after that. You got... did any man come along?
All right, so I was alone for, I think it was about 4 years. In the 4 years, I got really serious with God, you know, and I started learning about a lot of things. And one of the things that I started praying for a man, because I said I wasn't, you know, when you fall down, you have to pick yourself up and you dust yourself up, and you've got to try again. You know, you've got to have faith. So God put that hope again in me. He gave me a future and a hope. You know, that, you know what, Doreen, you're young. Your children are not going to grow up fatherless. You know, they are going to have a father and they're going to have a good man. So I started praying for my husband back then, and in abstinence. I told God, you know what, I did things my way. I did things the way against your will, because your Bible is very clear. The Bible is very clear as to what God expects from us, you know. So one of the things is that I told him, let's bring me a man, you know, bring me a good man that will be good to me, you know me, and you know my children, and that will love my children and you know, raise them up as though they are his. And for sure, he actually, even before I met him, he started showing me dreams, you know. He showed me one time, he showed me my wedding, he showed me the man, and so he was a tall, dark guy, athletic. So I knew, okay, he's tall, dark, and athletic, tick, you know, tick, the one you got right. Then the other one was, I'm sitting and he goes like, your husband is packing to come to Kenya. And I'm like, okay, so he's not Kenyan, you know? So that's how I knew he's not Kenyan. You know, as Christians, I've come to realize we can know secret things without, way before the time. Exactly. And it makes it much easier when it happens to know, okay, this is it.
This is what God was
because
saying.
when this man came, he came as a Muslim and he came married, you know? So I did not understand why this is happening, you know? But then apparently what the Lord had planned, it was amazing. It was like 2 people with brokenness that he was bringing together to build again, you know. So, but then he made it clear, he's like, this is him, you know, he's come. This is the person you are, because we were friends. We were friends for quite some time. And as we were growing our friendship, God shows me things. I'm like, hey, Baba, I'm asking God, God, no. Now this is too much. How now? Yeah. So one of the things I've also come to learn in our work is that our work is very different. There's no work that is the same as the other person. And if you take the time to hear God, then you won't miss your promised land. But if you do things expecting it to be like everyone else's story, it's very easy to miss your promised land.
So what happened now?
So every Sunday there were these singles meetings, and for a long time I never used to go for them because I used to be confused. I'm a divorced woman. I'm not, you know, like, you know, but let me tell you,
like, should I be
when you're divorced or separated, there's a certain confusion that is there. You don't know where you belong. You know, you're in church, there's the couples. You used to belong to the couples. Then there's a single. So where are we? You know, where are these other people? But then God convinced me, it's like, you know what? You're single now, so you just go to the singles meeting. So I started going to the singles meeting, and it was through those meetings that I was able to meet with him. And then we became friends, and even him, he was going through his own challenges, and we started helping each other, like, you know, in business, and fellowshipping together with my family. We used to do this fellowship, me, my sister, my brother-in-law, and now we brought him on board, and we were just, you know, the 4 of us and other friends who, you know, that's how the friendship developed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he was a Muslim before?
He was a Muslim before. By the time I was meeting him, he was a free thinker.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he was a free thinker Christian. You know, he was now like moving from free thinker to biblical knowledge.
Yes.
I'm actually the first person, I'm the one who gave him his first Bible, because he got born again actually in my presence, you know. That's the most interesting thing. And even before that Bible, the way I bought it, I was surprised, because I was like, Allah, this wasn't meant for me, you know. So.
And you're saying he had also been married before?
Yeah, he had been married before with 3 children, and that marriage also wasn't working out, and it was also abusive, and he was the abuser, you know. That's how crazy this thing is.
He was the abuser?
Yes, yeah. that's how, you know, that's why I tell you, when God turns things around.
He was the abuser?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Not the abuse?
No, not the abuse.
Okay.
Not the abuse.
Then now he has come.
Yeah.
And then now you have gotten married. How long did you take then you got married?
It took, we took how many months? It was months. It wasn't, I can't say it was years, because as we were growing spiritually, a lot of things moved very fast. Because one of the funny things that also happened is that time, him and his wife, ex-wife, separated. He didn't even go back to the country for that. Separated, and she got married. You know, that was the funny thing. But up to today, you know, I tell God, and God, you know, we tell God, you know, God, I don't know how you do things, but it's you who does things. So there are things we've just stopped questioning. You know, we just live according to what God tells us to do.
So the wife got married?
Yeah, she got married, and he was now here with me. He was here free, you know, because that's what I was asking God, like, okay, because when I met him, I'm like, you can't tell me this man that is going through all this, because I'm the one who was actually telling him, hey, you have to work on your marriage.
Yeah.
You know, I'm the one who was telling him, you know, you have to work on your marriage. You know, when I met him, I'm like, you have to, because this is what you're supposed to do, this is what you're supposed to do, this is what you're supposed to do. But then as now we are, you know, we are doing classes together. We did some Christian classes together on leadership, and it was through that process that we were also growing. In terms, he was growing his faith, and I was also continuing to grow in mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the process, you got married?
In the process, we got married.
So you did, and now how long have you been married?
It's been 4 years now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
These
been
are
4
4
years.
years, yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah, and we
How
have
is
a
that?
beautiful son. It's been different, very different.
So he stopped, now there is no abuse?
Of course not. Of course not. Let me tell you, that's something God also, you know, it's one of the regrets, you know, I've seen, you know, through him I've been able to see what a changed man and what makes a man do some of the things they do. There's a lot of selfishness. There's also a lot of, it's also very spiritual. You know, we've also come to realize
and also
that
background and
yeah,
all
the
those
background,
things.
how you were raised up, you really need to, when you get born again, you also need to go back into your background, and you need to get delivered from all those demons that have been with you for so long, you know, because it's not normal for a good person. You can see this person is a very, very good person, and they can tell you, I used to hit my wife. I can't even imagine how he did that.
He used to do that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
You know,
And he
it's
was
something
honest
that
with you that he used to?
Yeah. It's something that he's not happy about, but it's what happened.
It used to happen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But now he's totally delivered.
He's totally
and
delivered.
set free.
And set free.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're now doing well with the business. You're happy.
Yes.
It's all good. And the children, the relationship.
The children have a father. He's an amazing dad. They love him, and he loves them like their own. You know, even that is something that he fell in love with them, I think, even before he married me.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We are so grateful that you made it. Thank you so much for that beautiful story.
Thank you.
Yes. This is Woman Without Limits. May the good Lord bless you. Thank you for tuning in. Next week, let's meet here, same time, same channel. God bless you.